All right, let's talk about something that often goes unnoticed but is so powerful it can change your life, the ability to think clearly. When we say we want success, or we're after happiness or fulfillment, we sometimes forget that those things start with a clear mind, a mind that can see through the fog and get to what really matters. Thinking clearly isn't just something that happens, it's something we have to work on, something we have to practice. Life throws so much at us every day. We're juggling responsibilities, facing distractions, dealing with noise, internal and external. And so it's no wonder that our thoughts can feel scattered and chaotic. But here's the thing, if we can learn to sift through all that noise, if we can learn to find clarity in the chaos, we can make better decisions, find a sense of peace, and ultimately lead a more meaningful life. The first step to thinking clearly is understanding the importance of quiet. Now, I don't mean silence as in no sound. I'm talking about finding a quiet place within yourself. We live in a loud world filled with voices telling us what we should want, who we should be, and how we should live. Social media, advertisements, opinions, they're all there, adding layer upon layer of noise. If we're not careful, that noise starts to drown out our own voice, our own thoughts. So how do we find that quiet? We have to make it. We have to create moments in our day where we step back, disconnect, and just listen to our own thoughts. Maybe that means waking up a little earlier, spending a few minutes in reflection, or maybe it's taking a walk without checking your phone, just letting your mind wander and settle. That's where clear thinking starts, in those quiet moments where you can actually hear yourself think. The second part of thinking clearly is learning to question what you're hearing. Not everything that enters our mind deserves a place there. Sometimes we've got to filter out the nonsense. Every day we encounter countless ideas, opinions, information, but not all of it is helpful, not all of it is true. And certainly not all of it aligns with who we are and what we believe. Clear thinking means being willing to question what you're hearing, what you're reading, and what you're even telling yourself. Ask yourself, is this thought useful? Is it true? Is it helping me become the person I want to be? When we filter our thoughts, we free up mental space for what actually matters. Another key to clear thinking is to simplify. So much of the time we make life harder than it needs to be because we're overthinking, overcomplicating, analyzing every little thing. We get stuck in a cycle of what if and should I. Clear thinking often comes down to saying, what's really important here? What's the next step? It's about focusing on one thing at a time, breaking down big challenges into smaller steps. You don't need to have all the answers at once, you just need to know the next step. Simplicity is powerful because when you narrow your focus, you cut through the clutter and find clarity. But to think clearly, we've got to be honest with ourselves, and that might be the hardest part of all. Because being honest with ourselves means facing truths we might not want to admit. It means recognizing when we're holding on to beliefs that aren't serving us, or admitting that we've made mistakes that we need to change. Clear thinking doesn't happen in a fog of denial or wishful thinking. It happens when we look ourselves in the mirror and say, all right, this is where I am, this is what I need to work on, and this is how I'll grow. Being honest with ourselves is the foundation for everything else, because without honesty, there's no clarity, just illusion. And finally, clear thinking requires patience. In a world that pushes us to act fast, to decide now, patience is a rare thing. But when it comes to our thoughts, patience is what allows us to sit with our ideas, to let things marinate, to gain insight. Sometimes we don't have the answers right away, and that's okay. Clear thinking means being willing to give things time, to let ourselves explore different perspectives, and to wait until we feel ready. It's not always about getting it done now, it's about getting it done right. So when you think about clear thinking, think about quiet. Think about questioning. Think about simplifying, about being honest, and about having patience. Because here's the thing, the clearer we can see, the better we can live. When our mind is clear, our actions align with our values, our decisions reflect who we are, and our lives take on a sense of direction and purpose. In the end, thinking clearly isn't just about what happens in your mind, it's about how you live your life. It's about cutting through the noise, finding your own path, and choosing to live intentionally, purposefully. That's the power of a clear mind. It gives you the vision, the focus, and the strength to become the person you were meant to be. In a world that seems to spin faster every day, finding quiet moments to connect with our own thoughts is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. Our lives are filled with demands, distractions, and a relentless pace that doesn't often allow us the time to pause and reflect. Technology connects us to people across the globe, but it also brings a constant stream of information and noise, often leaving little room for us to truly hear ourselves. That's why it's so important to intentionally seek out and embrace quiet moments, moments where we can step away from all the noise and just listen to what's going on in our own minds. Creating this space for quiet doesn't require us to go on a long retreat or disconnect entirely from our daily lives. Instead, it's about making a conscious decision to carve out small pockets of time throughout our day for reflection and mindfulness. These moments might look different for everyone. Some people may find clarity during an early morning walk, others while sitting with a cup of coffee before the world wakes up. Whatever it is, it's about allowing yourself to be present, letting go of distractions, and tuning into your own mind. This is the space where real insights and understanding begin to unfold, where we get a chance to understand ourselves on a deeper level and connect with our true thoughts and emotions. The truth is, when we're constantly surrounded by noise, our minds start to fill up with the expectations and opinions of others. Social media, news, advertisements, all of these can easily drown out our inner voice if we let them. These external influences tell us what we should think, how we should feel, and what we should value, and they can become so overwhelming that we forget to ask ourselves what we truly believe or desire. But in moments of quiet, we can filter out these external voices and give ourselves the chance to think clearly and independently. In those quiet moments, we begin to rediscover who we are without the influence of everything around us. We become more in tune with our own beliefs, values, and goals. Quiet time also gives us a space to process our emotions. Life doesn't give us much time to stop and check in with how we're really feeling. We move from task to task, dealing with stress, frustration, happiness, disappointment, without taking a moment to acknowledge those emotions. But when we give ourselves moments of quiet, we allow ourselves the opportunity to sit with our emotions, to really understand what we're feeling and why. This process of reflection helps us not only to acknowledge our emotions, but also to learn from them, so we can make decisions that are grounded in self-awareness rather than impulse or reaction. A key benefit of these quiet moments is that they allow us to gain clarity about what truly matters to us. When we're constantly busy, it's easy to get lost in a whirlwind of responsibilities and obligations, often losing sight of our own priorities and dreams. In quiet moments, we can refocus, reminding ourselves of our goals and values. This clarity helps us make decisions that align with our true selves and our larger purpose, allowing us to live a life that feels intentional and meaningful. We start to recognize what truly deserves our time and energy, and we become more selective about the things we choose to pursue. Quiet time also fosters creativity and problem solving. When we're not bombarded with input from the outside world, our minds have the freedom to wander and explore ideas. Some of our best ideas and insights come to us when we're not actively trying to find solutions, but simply giving ourselves the space to think. Whether it's solving a problem we've been struggling with or coming up with a new perspective, quiet moments give our minds the room to think deeply and creatively. Creating these moments of quiet is also about giving ourselves a break. Life's demands can be overwhelming, and sometimes we need a chance to recharge and take care of our mental well-being. A few minutes of solitude can do wonders for our stress levels, helping us feel refreshed and ready to take on the challenges of the day. It's a simple act of self-care that can have a profound impact on our overall sense of well-being. In these moments, we learn that it's okay to slow down, that we don't always have to be moving at full speed. We learn to embrace stillness as a way of nurturing ourselves. In our fast-paced, information-saturated world, learning to filter out unhelpful information by questioning the validity and value of our thoughts is an essential skill. Every day, our minds are exposed to a constant stream of input from various sources: social media, news outlets, conversations, advertisements, and even our internal dialogues. Without a system in place to evaluate and filter this information, we can easily find ourselves overwhelmed, distracted, and led down paths that don't serve us. This is where questioning becomes powerful. It's about taking a moment to examine each thought, each idea, and each piece of information that enters our mind to determine if it truly adds value or merely contributes to the noise. When we talk about questioning the validity of our thoughts, we're talking about assessing whether a thought is true or based on assumptions, biases, or misconceptions. So often we hold on to beliefs and ideas without even knowing where they came from or if they're accurate. Sometimes these thoughts are echoes of things we've heard from others, like family, friends, or society, and we may take them as truth without much consideration. But when we begin to question them, we open up the possibility of letting go of thoughts that don't serve us, replacing them with ideas that align better with our true values and goals. A key part of this process is learning to discern between thoughts that are helpful and those that are harmful. Not every thought that enters our mind is constructive, and not every piece of information we come across is beneficial. Some thoughts only lead to self-doubt and anxiety or negativity, and they can hold us back from reaching our full potential. By questioning these thoughts, we can start to recognize patterns in our thinking that may be limiting us. For example, we might notice that we often have self-critical thoughts that make us feel insecure or unworthy. Once we identify these unhelpful patterns, we can start challenging them asking ourselves if these thoughts are based on reality or if they're simply old habits of thinking that no longer serve us. Filtering information and questioning our thoughts is also about finding clarity and focus. With so much information available at our fingertips, it's easy to get distracted and lose sight of what truly matters to us. When we question the relevance and importance of each thought, we're essentially decluttering our minds, creating more mental space for what's truly meaningful. This clarity allows us to focus our energy on thoughts and ideas that are aligned with our goals and values, making us more effective and intentional in our actions. In addition to clarity, questioning our thoughts empowers us to think critically. Instead of passively accepting everything that enters our mind, we become active participants in shaping our beliefs and perspectives. This shift from passive to active thinking is transformative because it gives us control over our mental landscape. We're no longer at the mercy of every passing thought or external influence. Instead, we're actively curating what we allow to take root in our minds. This practice of questioning also strengthens our decision-making skills as we become more discerning about what we believe and why. We start to recognize which thoughts are grounded in reality and which are simply products of fear, doubt, or social conditioning. One of the most powerful aspects of questioning our thoughts is that it helps us develop resilience. Life is full of challenges, setbacks, and difficult situations, and how we think about these experiences largely determines how we respond to them. When we learn to question our thoughts, we become less reactive and more reflective. Instead of immediately accepting negative interpretations of events, we can take a step back and examine whether our initial thoughts are helpful or harmful. This shift allows us to reframe difficult situations in a more constructive light, helping us to navigate challenges with greater resilience and a positive mindset. Another important aspect of questioning our thoughts is that it encourages self-compassion. Often we're our own harshest critics, holding ourselves to unrealistic standards and being overly judgmental when we fall short. By questioning these critical thoughts, we can begin to replace self-judgment with self-understanding. We can start to recognize that not every thought of self-doubt or criticism is true or helpful. This realization allows us to treat ourselves with more kindness and compassion, recognizing that we're human and that we're allowed to make mistakes and grow from them. Learning to question our thoughts also fosters a sense of inner peace. When we're not constantly bombarded by unhelpful thoughts and external influences, we feel lighter, more centered, and more at ease with ourselves. This inner peace doesn't come from avoiding challenges or ignoring difficult emotions. It comes from knowing that we have the tools to navigate whatever thoughts or situations come our way. We no longer feel controlled by our thoughts. Instead, we feel empowered to choose which thoughts we engage with and which ones we let go. Through this process of questioning, we're ultimately building a stronger, more resilient, and more authentic relationship with ourselves. We're learning to trust our own judgment, to value our own perspectives, and to honor our own inner voice. We're no longer letting every piece of information dictate our beliefs or every passing thought control our emotions. Instead, we're consciously choosing to engage with thoughts that uplift, empower, and support us on our journey to becoming our best selves. Simplifying our approach to life by focusing on one step at a time is an effective way to avoid getting lost in the complexities of overthinking. In today's world, we often find ourselves juggling multiple goals, responsibilities, and pressures, and it's easy to get overwhelmed by the sheer volume of what lies ahead. We worry about outcomes, consider potential obstacles, and try to anticipate every possible scenario. This kind of overthinking, though well-intentioned, can lead us into a cycle of stress and inaction. But if we focus on taking things one step at a time, we can break down even the most daunting tasks into manageable actions and regain control over our mental space. When we start any journey, whether it's a new project, a big career decision, or a personal goal, it's natural to think about the bigger picture and where we ultimately want to be. This initial vision gives us direction and a sense of purpose, but focusing solely on the end goal can make it feel distant and unattainable. By shifting our attention to the immediate step in front of us, we ground ourselves in the present and make progress feel achievable.
Each small step builds momentum, and as we continue moving forward, the final goal gradually starts to feel more within reach.
This process of taking one step at a time is about being present, investing energy into what we can accomplish now, and trusting that, over time, these small actions will compound into significant results. Taking a simplified approach also helps us reduce stress and anxiety. When we try to tackle everything at once, we often create mental clutter and allow our minds to fill with worry. We start to ask ourselves questions like, what if I fail? Or what if this doesn't turn out the way I hope? These kinds of thoughts can paralyze us, making us feel like the entire weight of the journey is on our shoulders from the start. But by focusing on just the next step, we shift our attention away from hypothetical worries and concentrate on what's directly in front of us. This focus on the present moment not only lightens our mental load, but also builds confidence as we complete each small action, reinforcing the belief that we are capable of moving forward one step at a time. In addition, a one step at a time approach gives us the freedom to learn and adapt along the way. Life is rarely a straight path, and unexpected changes often occur that require us to adjust our course. If we're overly focused on rigid plans and distant outcomes, these changes can feel disruptive and overwhelming. However, when we're concentrating on the immediate step, we're able to navigate these changes with more flexibility. We allow ourselves to learn from each step, to understand what's working and what's not, and to adjust our approach without feeling like we've derailed the entire journey. This adaptability is essential as it teaches us resilience and helps us become more comfortable with the unknown. Focusing on each step also fosters a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. Rather than waiting until the entire goal is achieved to feel proud of ourselves, we get to experience a series of small victories along the way. Each completed step is a reminder that we're making progress, that we're capable, and that we're moving closer to our aspirations. These small wins are not insignificant, they're the building blocks of our confidence and motivation. Celebrating these moments, however small they may seem, gives us the encouragement to keep going and reminds us that we're on the right track. Moreover, simplifying our approach helps us develop patience. In a world where we're often pushed to seek instant gratification, focusing on the next step teaches us the value of steady, consistent effort. It reminds us that meaningful progress is rarely immediate and that true growth happens over time. This patience allows us to appreciate the journey, to recognize that each step is valuable and that there's no need to rush toward the finish line. By accepting that the journey is just as important as the destination, we develop a more sustainable mindset, one that's focused on long-term success rather than quick results. Simplifying our approach by taking things one step at a time also strengthens our sense of commitment and discipline. It's easy to feel motivated when we first set a goal, but maintaining that motivation over time requires us to stay disciplined, especially when the initial excitement fades. When we commit to taking consistent steps, no matter how small, we build a habit of persistence that sustains us through the ups and downs. This commitment to steady progress is what ultimately sets us apart from those who give up when the going gets tough. It's the discipline of showing up each day, of taking the next step, that leads to true achievement. Finally, this approach to life promotes self-compassion. When we take things one step at a time, we allow ourselves the space to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow without judgment. We recognize that we're human, that perfection is not the goal, and that setbacks are a natural part of the process. This self-compassion enables us to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding, to embrace our imperfections, and to move forward without letting past mistakes hold us back. Through this simple, step-by-step approach, we cultivate a healthier, more supportive relationship with ourselves, one that encourages growth, resilience, and self-acceptance. Practicing patience in a world that constantly promotes speed and instant results is not only a rare quality, but a powerful one. The idea of waiting and letting things unfold naturally goes against much of what modern society teaches us. We're conditioned to believe that faster is better and that immediate success is the ultimate goal. But when we look at the people who have achieved meaningful, lasting success, we see that patience played a significant role in their journey. Patience is the quiet strength that allows us to keep working, keep growing, and keep moving forward even when we don't see immediate results. It's a quality that helps us navigate setbacks, delays, and challenges without losing focus or giving up. In our pursuit of success, patience allows us to focus on the process rather than just the outcome. When we're constantly rushing, we often overlook the small but important steps that contribute to our growth. We're so focused on reaching the finish line that we miss out on valuable experiences and lessons along the way. Patience helps us slow down and appreciate the journey, to see each step as a part of our development. It reminds us that true mastery doesn't happen overnight, it's built gradually through consistent effort and commitment. This perspective shifts our focus from getting things done quickly to doing them well. By taking our time, we create space for learning, improvement, and self-discovery, which ultimately leads to more fulfilling achievements. Patience also helps us build resilience. In any journey, we're bound to face obstacles, failures, and disappointments. Without patience, these challenges can feel overwhelming, making us question our abilities and the value of our goals. But when we practice patience, we develop the strength to endure setbacks without being discouraged. We begin to understand that failure is not the end, but a stepping stone on the path to success. Patience teaches us that setbacks are temporary, and with persistence, we can overcome them. This resilience born out of patience is what allows us to keep going even when things don't go as planned. It's the ability to trust the process, to believe that our efforts will pay off in time, and to stay committed even when progress is slow. In addition, Patience allows us to make better decisions. When we're in a rush, we're more likely to make impulsive choices, often based on short-term desires rather than long-term benefits.
Patience gives us the time to think things through, to weigh our options, and to consider the potential consequences of our actions. It helps us approach decisions with a calm, clear mind, free from the pressure to act immediately.
This thoughtful approach leads to wiser, more intentional choices that align with our true goals and values. Patience, in this sense, becomes a tool for self-discipline, helping us avoid the pitfalls of impulsive decisions and stay focused on what really matters. Moreover, practicing patience fosters a deeper sense of gratitude. When we slow down and stop chasing after instant results, we become more aware of the progress we've already made and the things we already have. Patience helps us see that each step forward, no matter how small, is an accomplishment worth appreciating. It teaches us to be grateful for the present moment, to recognize the beauty of slow growth, and to celebrate our journey rather than always looking toward the next milestone. This sense of gratitude enhances our overall well-being, making us more content, less anxious, and more at peace with ourselves. Patience also strengthens our relationships. In a world of instant messaging and immediate responses, we've come to expect the same quick results in our relationships. But meaningful relationships take time to build and nurture. Patience allows us to give others the time and space they need to grow, to change, and to express themselves. It helps us listen more carefully, to empathize more deeply, and to respond with kindness rather than frustration. By practicing patience with others, we create stronger, more supportive connections built on understanding and trust. We learn to accept people for who they are, rather than trying to rush them to meet our expectations. Finally, patience is a powerful tool for self-compassion. Just as we need patience with others, we also need it with ourselves. Personal growth is a lifelong journey, and we're bound to encounter moments of self-doubt, frustration, and setbacks.
Patience helps us treat ourselves with kindness during these times. It allows us to accept our imperfections, to forgive ourselves for mistakes, and to recognize that growth doesn't happen all at once.
By being patient with ourselves, we create a nurturing environment for personal development. We give ourselves the time to learn, to heal, and to become the best version of ourselves without pressure or judgment. Setting clear goals is one of the most powerful things we can do to create a life filled with purpose, direction, and satisfaction. Without specific goals, our lives can feel aimless, like we're drifting without a clear path or destination. But when we set clear goals, we give ourselves a roadmap, a guide that shows us where we want to go and how we plan to get there. Clear goals don't just tell us what we want to achieve, they give us a reason to push forward, to keep moving, and to persevere even when things get difficult. They provide a sense of purpose that fuels our motivation and drives our actions every day. Having clear goals helps us focus our time and energy on the things that truly matter. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. We're constantly bombarded by new opportunities, endless information, and competing demands on our attention. Without clear goals, it's easy to get pulled in different directions, to chase after things that don't really align with what we truly want, or to waste time on activities that don't contribute to our growth. But when we have specific, well-defined goals, we're able to prioritize our actions and concentrate our energy on the things that move us closer to those goals. This focus helps us make the most of our time, ensuring that we're investing our efforts in a meaningful way and not just staying busy for the sake of being busy. Setting goals also brings a sense of accountability. When we write down our goals or tell someone about them, we make a commitment not only to ourselves but to others as well. This commitment keeps us accountable. It reminds us of what we're working toward and motivates us to follow through even when we face challenges. Knowing that we have a goal to reach gives us a reason to stay disciplined, to show up, and to put in the effort day after day. It reminds us of the bigger picture and encourages us to keep going even on the days when progress feels slow or obstacles seem overwhelming. Accountability is a powerful motivator, and by setting clear goals, we give ourselves the structure and support we need to stay on track. Another important benefit of setting goals is that it allows us to measure our progress. When we have a clear goal in mind, we're able to track how far we've come and how much further we need to go. This sense of progress is incredibly motivating, as it shows us that our efforts are making a difference and that we're moving closer to our destination. Each step forward, no matter how small, serves as a reminder that we're capable of growth and that we're capable of achieving what we set out to do. This progress doesn't just boost our confidence, it reinforces our belief in ourselves and our ability to reach our goals. Setting clear goals also encourages us to plan and prepare. When we have a specific goal, we can break it down into smaller, manageable steps that make the journey feel more achievable. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by a big goal, we can focus on completing one step at a time, steadily working our way toward the finish line. This process of planning helps us anticipate potential obstacles and come up with strategies to overcome them. It allows us to approach our goals with intention rather than just hoping things will work out. By creating a plan, we set ourselves up for success and make it more likely that we'll reach our goals. Finally, setting goals brings a sense of fulfillment and purpose to our lives. When we have something meaningful to work toward, we wake up each day with a sense of purpose. We know why we're putting in the effort, why we're facing challenges, and why we're pushing ourselves to grow. This sense of purpose brings meaning to our lives and makes the journey itself rewarding. It gives us a reason to keep going even when things get tough, and it fills our lives with a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. By setting clear goals, we create a life that's driven by purpose and guided by intention.